Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, your weekend edition of what's trending in tech and gadgets.
Hey there.
This week has been, well, pretty wild for actual hardware. We're covering everything from a VR headset that wants to run all your Android games to a smartphone that finally breaks that one-day battery curse.
Absolutely. We've basically sifted through all the noise from the past week and picked out the top 5 stories that we think are the most impactful or maybe the most surprising.
The idea is to give you the key takeaways, fast and deep, so you know what's coming.
Right. And we should probably start with Valve, because they didn't just announce one thing, they dropped a whole hardware lineup on us.
Okay, let's do it. So yeah, this was a massive announcement from Valve. It almost feels like they're really going after the console market this time. We've got the Steam Frame VR headset, a new Steam controller, and a second-gen Steam Machine console. All at once.
They're definitely serious. Let's start with the Steam Frame, because I think technically it's the most ambitious piece of kit here.
Yeah.
So it's a standalone VR headset. It runs their own operating system, SteamOS, and the goal is to play, high-end PC VR games and non-VR games.
The specs sound pretty premium. We're talking LCDs at 2160 by 2160 per eye, and they're pushing an experimental 144 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, that part is wild. But the real trick, the thing that makes this whole concept work, is how they're handling compatibility. They want this thing to run PC games and Android VR games.
And those are completely different architectures, right? By 86 for PC and ARM for Android.
Exactly. And this is where they're leaning heavily on what they learned from the Steam Deck, is that it just works philosophy.
So they're using compatibility layers like Proton.
Yep. They're basically building a universal translator right into the headset. They're using things like FEX-EMU and Proton, so you, the user, don't have to worry about what platform a game was built for. You just play it.
That is a huge deal for building an ecosystem right out of the gate.
It is. Now, let's pivot to the new Steam Machine console, because this isn't just another small PC they shoved in a box. The engineering here is actually the fascinating part.
I was reading about this. It's like a heat-first design philosophy, isn't it?
That's the perfect way to put it. They didn't just pick parts and then figure out how to cool them. They started with the cooling.
So they calculated the power draw. I think it was 130 watts for the GPU, 30 for the CPU.
Right, about 200 watts total.
Yeah.
And they realized they needed a massive 140-millimeter fan to handle that kind of heat quietly and efficiently.
So the fan came first, and the console was built around it.
Literally, the fan size dictated the whole chassis. The result is this little cube, about the size of an old GameCube, and it's all built to maximize airflow for that one big fan.
And it's an open system, like the deck. You can install whatever you want on it.
Of course. That's Valve's whole approach. Maximum flexibility for the user.
Okay, before we move on, the new Steam controller, they're finally fixing stick drift.
Yes, they're using something called tunneling magnetoresistance, or TMR, thumbsticks.
A bit of a mouthful.
It is, but all you need to know is it's a magnetic sensor technology. It's way more resistant to the physical wear and tear that causes stick drift in basically every other modern controller. It's a huge quality of life upgrade.
Okay, so from Valve's hardware trifecta, let's switch gears to another complex piece of hardware. The TriFold phone. Samsung is rumored to be working on a Galaxy Z TriFold. Is this the future or just double the problems?
Yeah, it could be both. On paper, the specs are nuts. It folds twice and unfolds into this massive 10-inch inner display.
That's a proper tablet.
It is, and it starts from a normal-ish 6.5-inch cover screen. And even folded up, it's supposedly only around 12 millimeters thick.
That seems impossibly thin for 2 hinges. Where's the compromise? The battery.
That's always the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it leads right into the biggest concern, durability.
Right. One hinge is already a weak point.
And now you have 2. That's 2 potential entry points for dust, 2 places where you could get that dreaded screen scar along the fold. It's double the hinges and probably double the fragility. That seems to be the biggest hurdle they're facing.
And what about just using the thing? A bigger screen isn't always better.
Exactly. Imagine trying to type on a 10-inch screen in landscape. The split keyboard would have the 2 halves so far apart it would be super awkward.
Your thumbs would be doing stretches.
And then if you flip it to portrait mode, it becomes this incredibly tall, top-heavy device. So, yeah, it might be great for watching videos or multitasking, but that double fold, just to check a notification, it adds a barrier.
It's good to remember this is still such a niche market, too.
Oh, for sure. Foldables are still only about 1% of all smartphone shipments globally. But in the high-end, non-iOS space, they make up almost a fifth of devices over $800. So it's a small but very important slice of the pie.
Okay, so from the maybe fragile world of foldables, let's talk about a phone that's all about reliability, the OnePlus 15. This thing is apparently trying to kill the whole charge it every night routine.
I mean, the battery life here is genuinely a breakthrough. They put a massive 7,300 milliamp silicon carbon battery in it and paired it with that new super efficient Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip.
And the test results were pretty staggering.
Staggering is the right word.
Yeah.
2 days, 11 hours, and 5 minutes under heavy use.
Wow. So you could genuinely leave for a weekend trip and not even pack a charger.
That's the dream. That kind of freedom is something we haven't had in smartphones for like a decade.
But you don't get something for nothing in a phone chassis. To fit a battery that big, what did they have to sacrifice?
And here's the catch.
Yeah.
The trade-offs are significant, and they're almost all in the camera system.
Oh, no.
Yep. A teardown showed they use smaller sensors, narrower apertures. That's going to hurt low-light performance.
Yeah.
And maybe bigger news, the partnership with Hasselblad. It's over.
Wait, they dropped the Hasselblad branding? That was a huge part of their marketing.
It's gone. That name was a signal of photographic ambition. Taking it away signals a pretty clear shift in priorities. They even cut the number of microphones from 4 down to 3.
So it's still a great performer for, say, gaming. It's got a 165 hertz display.
Oh yeah, for gaming it's a beast. But it really forces you to ask the question, are you willing to give up a top-tier camera for 2 days of battery freedom? You have to pick what matters more to you.
A tough choice. All right, speaking of features, let's talk about Google. Their November Pixel feature drop just landed, and it's heavily focused on AI, a mix of safety and creativity.
Yeah, and it's a really good balance. On the safety side, they've expanded scam detection in a big way.
It used to just be for calls, right?
Mostly, yeah. Now it works in more messaging apps. It'll alert you to potential scams right in your texts. This is huge if you're traveling, or maybe your battery is low and you're not paying full attention.
That's actually really useful. And on the creative side, they're putting generative AI right into your messages.
Yes. The feature is called Remix in Google Messages, and it uses their Gemini Nano model, which runs on the device itself.
So no cloud processing?
Nope. You can take a photo someone sends you and just remake it, turn it into a 3D image or a sketch right there in the chat. It's bringing some pretty powerful generative tools down to the device level.
How does that compare to what Samsung's doing with its generative editing?
They're a little different. Google's Magic Editor is really good at context. It sees water, it suggests water edits. Samsung's tool sometimes makes you erase something first before it will generate new content.
I see.
Though, to be fair, Samsung is remarkably good at creating realistic reflections and ripples in water. So one is more assistive, the other is more of a blank canvas.
And good news for people with older Pixels, too?
This is maybe the best part of the announcement. Features that were exclusive to the Pixel 10, like the device health dashboard and the journal app, are now coming to the Pixel 6 through 9 series.
So they're extending the life of older hardware, which is great to see.
It is. And they're also finally expanding call notes, the call recording and summarizing feature, to Australia, Canada, and the UK. So, progress.
Finally, let's head to the skies with the DJI Neo 2 drone. This one is aimed squarely at beginners, right? A compact, follow-me camera.
Exactly. It weighs just 151 grams, so it's tiny. And it's all about accessibility. It has omnidirectional obstacle sensing, propeller guards built right in.
And those cool gesture controls, palm takeoff and landing.
Yeah, you can literally launch it from your palm and use hand gestures to tell it to move away or come closer. It's basically a point-and-shoot camera that flies.
Sounds amazing for a beginner. But what about the performance? DJI is claiming 19 minutes of flight time, which for something that small sounds optimistic.
It is. And this is the classic specs versus reality check. That 19-minute number is under perfect lab conditions.
Ah, so what's the real-world flight time?
User tests show it's a lot less. If you're just hovering in a bit of wind, you get about 8 minutes and 40 seconds. If you're actively flying around, you're looking at just under 10 minutes, maybe 9.3.
So less than 10 minutes of actual use per battery. That makes the 49 gigs of internal storage feel a little oversized, doesn't it?
It really does. You've got all this space for video, but such a short window to capture it before you have to land. It basically makes buying the Fly More combo with extra batteries a necessity.
And there's a bigger problem for anyone listening in the US.
Yeah, this is the big political snag. The drone launched in the UK, EU, Canada, Asia. But DJI hasn't announced a US release at all.
And why is that?
It's because of the intense scrutiny from U.S. lawmakers over national security risks related to DJI being a Chinese company. There are a lot of import complications. So for now, U.S. customers are just stuck waiting.
That's a real shame.
It is. If we tie all these stories together for a second,
Hmm.
we've got AI running these complex generative models on a little Pixel phone, and we have Valve building this whole gaming ecosystem that runs on these universal translation layers.
Right.
It suggests that the software itself is becoming incredibly portable. I mean, if your software can just seamlessly translate across different hardware and different architectures, how much longer until the hardware itself starts to feel secondary? Will that ability to run anything anywhere just completely blur the lines between a trifold phone, a gaming console, and a VR headset?
A future where the operating system is more important than the silicon. That's a great thought to end on. That's it for this week. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.